Hey, this is Chavez. Happy Friday. Hopefully, we get this one done similar to what we had on Wednesday, except we added, and you can see here we've got some variables in here with our radicals. So, what we're going to do is we're just going to set those aside for a second and not worry about those variables right now. All I care about is that let's get to the numbers first, and then we'll come back to those variables. So, you're going to ignore them at this point, and we're going to do the same thing that we did on Wednesday. You are going to uh, take that 48, or actually we can take that 4 down right now and bring that down because that's going to be multiplied to whatever perfect squares we get out of there. So we're going to break up that 48. It's easy. If you're good, you know that 4 goes into 48. You could divide 48 by 4 and you'll come up with 12. And you could do that. So you could have 4 and 12. 4 is a perfect square root, or you could break it down to 2 times 2. Doesn't matter how you choose to do it, but most of you probably are not as good at doing that. So take your calculator. First, I would do is I would check to see if 48 is a perfect square, and you would use the square root button and put 48 in there. In this particular case, how I put it in here, square root of 48, it's not, and it's 4 to the third. If you have this calculator, you probably could break that up. Unfortunately for you, you have to show your work. I know the calculator can do the math. I need to know if you can do the math, so you know the process. So at this particular point, since it's not a perfect square root, it is even, so I could break it down by 2. I think that's how most people do it. But if you want to start with 4, that's fine as well. I can do that off to the side here. But we break it down to 2, and 48 divided by 2 is 24. So we get 24 out of that. Well, 2 is a prime number. It can't be broken down anymore. We'll bring that down. Remember that 2 times 24 is 48. So 48 divided by 2 is 24. 2 times 24 is 48. That's what we're doing. We're factoring these out. All right. So we know that the 24 needs to be broken apart. It's even again. I know 12 goes in there, so I could do 2 times 12, but I could get it right off the bat. There's some other numbers that go in there. 4 goes into it as well. So, but if you don't know that, that's fine. Break it down into 2. Well, what did I do? I've got a pair here now. 24 divided by 2 is 12. Well, there is my pair. What I want to do is I want to take that pair and I put it down as a 2. They kind of come together, okay, and they become 2. So we have 4 times 2 down here on the outside. Well, we still need to break that 12 down because it is not a prime number. Prime numbers are numbers that can only be divided by 1 in itself. So in other words, we got 2, 3, 5, 7. Those are your 11, but we might not see that in the numbers that I'm giving you. So if you know those numbers. So again, it's an even number. We can break it down by 2. And 12 divided by 2 is 6. 2 times 6 is 12. That's that little triangle going around there. 2 is prime. We know that, but 6 is not. And again, we can divide it by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Well, we have that pair in there again. And we put that 2 down there. But that is a prime number 3. It does not have a pair for it, so we're going to leave that as square root 3. Probably should have left a little bit more room in here because we have to deal with these variables now up here. And what I just do with those variables, I just simply write them down and what they are. There's that magical little missing 1 up there, so we have 1m. There are 2 p's, a p and a p, which is p times p. And we have a q to the 4th. Q times q times q times q. Q to the 4th. What do we do? Same thing we did before. Is there a pair here for m? No, it doesn't have a partner. It can't come out. So that m is going to remain down here. And I'm just going to take that m and throw it right in there. Because it doesn't have a pair. Just like the 3 doesn't have a pair, the m doesn't have a pair. They have to stay kind of inside the house here. If you don't have a partner, you can't go outside. All right? But the p does have a partner. There's 1 partner of a p, so that p goes here. The q's, there's 1 partner for the q. There's 2 partners for the q. So the q has 2 pairs. So I put q to the 2nd. What do I do then? Well, it's almost done, except I have this 4 times 2 times 2. So 4 times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So my answer is 16p. And then you can put a 1 up there. It's 1 because 1 pair, but you don't have to. In algebra, we don't stick that up there. And it's q to the second power because there are 2 pairs. And then we just simply have that square root 3 and the m. The 3 doesn't have a pair. The m doesn't have a pair. They can't come out. Can't come out and play, right? All right. Now, the next example I'm going to give you if you are smart. Oh, you know what I wanted to do? I forgot. Well, if you wanted to break down that 48, you guys can do that in a different way. I'm going to show you this 64 here first. If you are thinking about this, and you should, also if we note here, look, I can keep checking to see if 24 is a perfect square. I can hit that square root in 24 and look, and I know it's not. If I check my 12, is 12 a perfect square? Because if you know the perfect squares, you can end right there. And this is the example because I know my squares, I know 64 is a perfect square. I'm going to save myself time for me. And you can save yourself time by hitting square root of 64. Is it square? It is. It's 8. So I don't have to do that tree. I can simply take that -4, bring it here, and take the 8, because it's 8 times 8 is 64, and put the 8 there, and then I can just break up my h's, right? I know there's 1 pair there and 1 inside. One pair here, 1 pair here. I'm done with it. But I want to see the process of which you do it. If you do that and you write it, then what you need to do is break it up in 8 and 8. But most of you, hopefully you can get it. If you don't and you start breaking it up, I want you to see what it looks like, because sometimes, and I see it all the time, you forget to check it on your calculator or on your phone to see if it is a perfect square. So once again, we're going to put a pin in these variables here. If I can get them covered up right. Tab wants to lift up. So if I made the mistake and I didn't check to see if 64 is there, and I'm not sure about my factors, and I'm not great at multiplication, I still have 64 and I can break it down. I know it's an even number. If 4 is an even number, I automatically know that 2 goes into it. So if I decided to break up 64 divided by 2, I would end up with 32. And of course, 32 times 2 is 64. Well, 2 is a prime number. I'm going to bring that down. But I can break 32 up. Well, it's still an even number. So if I don't know my factors again, I can go ahead and break that down by 2. So 32 divided by 2 equals 16. Okay, I have that. Oh, bring that 4 down. -4, that is, times. Here's a pair. So I'd put that 2 down here. Now, did you check to see if 32 is a perfect square? Did you check to see if 16 is a perfect square? Well, I know 16 is a perfect square because it's 4 times 4. So I would put 4 here and end it by putting this and putting 4 times 4 down. But once again, if you forget, you didn't check, and you keep breaking it down, it's even again. We'll break it down by 2, and we know it's 8. Well, 2 is a prime number. 8 can be broken down into 2 times 4, right? 8 divided by 2 is 4. Well, look at that. There is another pair of 2's. So I put it down as 2. And if I'm good, once again, I know 2 times 2 is 4. So I know I could put the tree here and put 2 times 2. Or just say square root of, and put the square root symbol over 4 and say it's another 2. Oops, wrong color there. Let's break that down into 2 times 2. Well, there's our pair. So we put that 2 there. Here's the thing, there's nothing left over. Like the last one, we had that extra 3 right here. We left that inside. But if it's a perfect square root, it'll end up where there there's nothing left over. But that means that we didn't check to see if 64, that means 64 is a perfect square root if you end up like this. You just didn't check it, okay? And I understand it happens, and it happens more than I would like for it to happen, but it does happen, and that's why I wanted to show you that way of doing it. Now we need to look at those variables. So we have h to the third, so that's h times h times h times itself 3 times, j times j, and we have k times k times k, and just, I don't know why I put a period there. It's times, don't need that. Ha 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 on that. I know that every time that happens in class, somebody's got something smart to say about it. We're going to look at this and we're going to pair them up. So the h's have one pair. That's h here. But they also have one h left over. So the one pair goes outside, the one non-pair goes inside. J has a pair, it goes outside. Now, if you want to stick that little one up there, you can. That's fine. The K's have one pair of K's, but they also have one K left over. We're almost done. Almost done here. What we need to do then is this multiplication part here. So negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. And negative 16 times 2 is negative 32. And everything else just comes down as it was. And that, my friends, is your answer. Keep trying those. I will be available at 8:45 for Google Meets if you want to get on to go over more of these. But this is answers 1 and 2 on your homework. I'll also be available not until Tuesday, but I'll be available at the end of the day from 12:15 to 2:50. Email me if you're having trouble so I can make sure that I'm available for you. But sometimes I am, sometimes I get pulled away. But if you email me, I will definitely be there for you, okay? So there you go. Try it out. Have fun.